So today being our first demo sessions, we will be showing these things in our first class. Today we see what are the different classifications, what is the software classification, what are the different OS classifications. After that, we will see what is history of Linux and Unix. Okay, first thing. Hi, Mr. Rohit. Can you hear me? Rohit, Anirudh. Rohit,
Yeah,
can you hear
yeah.
me? Anirudh, this is our first Linux demo session for Linux administration. We have not just started also. Are you okay? Can I start the class? And what
Yes.
about Rohit? Rohit, can I start the class, man? Rohit, can I start the class? Are you ready? Rohit. And one more thing, if you have any doubts in the meeting, you can interrupt. Okay? Or you can use the chat box to raising any doubt. Okay? Rohit, can I start the class? Are you ready? You can unmute and speak, Rohit. Rohit, I can't hear you, man. Okay? There is no response from Rohit. We'll start the class. Today being our first demo session, what are the things, topics we are going to discuss today is these things. First, we will start with the OS classifications and types of OS classifications. Then after that, we will go with history of Unix and Linux operating system. Okay. Third will be components.
Can you hear me now?
Rohit, I can hear you now. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
Can I take the class? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So, okay. These are the things we are going to see today. What are the different things? Apart from that, we will see architecture of the Linux operating systems, components, okay. We will start with these things. So we will start with the OS classification. Okay. What exactly is a OS? Any idea? What can we say? What is an OS?
It is a piece of software which is used to interact with the hardware component.
Okay. See here, because we are here to learn Linux operating system, but Linux is basically, though it is an Linux is though a different kind of operating system. All operating systems can be classified for these purposes. What is the operating system? Operating system is an interface between user and the computer. Okay, computer hardware is an interface between user and computer hardware. Okay, why is this interface required? The reason being this interface is required. The hardware of the computer means hardware of the computer, either it is a disk, it is a printer, it is other devices, can only understand digital, means zeros and ones, binary code only. And we as being humans are unable to actually read this binary and understand. So we need an interface which will be working with our user and between the hardware to make other things work. So hardware is the hardware of the computer can only understand cannot understand human readable language. It only understands binary language, zeros and ones. And one more issue is that it is very tough for humans to understand the binary language and communicate using that. So we need something which acts as an interface between this user and the computer hardware. Okay, that is the main purpose of the operating systems. Okay, operating system is the one which is the interface between the user and computer hardware. Okay, it will be actually working as a translator between how to actually translate human understandable English language to computer understandable binary language. Okay, that is the purpose of operating system. Now we will see what are the different classifications of the operating system. Any doubt from any of you? You can interrupt in the middle. There is no problem. Okay, or you can at least raise your doubts in the chat box. Okay.
Sure.
What is the okay? What are the different classifications of operating system? This is first of the question. Okay, these classifications are like this. Prashant, please mute yourself, man. There's disturbance from your side. Prashant, please mute yourself. Okay. So, what are the different classifications? Coming to the classification, we can actually classify operating systems into three types, man. First type of classification is CUI based. What is the first classification? CUI based and GUI based. Okay, this is one kind of classification. Okay, second kind of classification can also be like this: single user, multi-user operating system classification. Single user or multi-user operating system, GUI based OS. Okay, third is client based and server operating systems. Okay, these are the one of few of the different classifications of operating system. Operating system can be classified according to first character user interface, CUI and GUI. What is the meaning of the CUI? This is what I am writing. CUI stands for, or CLI also, CLI based operating systems also can be called. What is the meaning of the CUI based operating? Character interface. Character user or interface, or also can be called as command line interface. Okay, this is the first thing, CLI means. What is the meaning of a GUI, man? GUI means graphical user interface. Okay, so we will just see, by what is the difference between a CLI operating system and GUI, and what are the examples for the CLI based operating systems, that also I am writing here. First example, what is the meaning of a CLI? Unix is actually a CLI based operating system, and the Linux is a second based operating system which can be configured as a CLI. And what are the examples for a GUI based operating systems is, what is the example for a GUI based operating system? You can see all the Windows operating system, Mac operating systems, Macintosh operating systems, and Linux can also be actually classified into GUI based operating system. Linux is both CLI and GUI, but Unix basically is a CLI based operating system. There is no GUI. Okay, first classification we have. So now we will see what is the single user, multi-user operating system graphically. Let us see. Okay, OS classification can be classified as like this. Okay, OS classification. Any operating system can be classified as like this. First thing here is what I'm writing. Sorry. Single user and single tasking. Single user and single tasking. Okay, first classification is this. Single user and multi okay. Third classification can be multi-user and multitasking. Okay. Okay. These are the slashes. Okay. Operating. What is the first classification? We can classify into three formats. This is one kind of classification. Single user, multi-user, multitasking, single user, multitasking. What are the examples for the single user? What is the meaning of the single user, single tasking? First meaning of the single user, single tasking means at any point in time only a single user can log in, and if he logs in, he can only perform single task at a time. Okay, single user can log in, and at any point of time only single user can log in and he can perform single task, only one task. If you want to execute the second task, he has to finish the first task, then submit the second task. Okay, what is the thing? Examples for the single user, single tasking is the DOS operating system. Okay, DOS, MS-DOS is a single user, single operate, single tasking operating system. Examples is this. Okay, second example for what is this multi-user multitasking means, at any point of time, a single user can log in into the operating system, but he can perform multiple tasks at the same time. Multiple tasks can be 1, 2, or even 10 submitted to the CPU. Okay, what is the example for this single user multitasking? Win98. Okay, next example is Win XP, Windows 8, Win 8, Win 10. Examples. Okay, Win 10 like this. Windows 10 operating systems. These are the examples for single user, single user. And moreover, all the single user multitasking examples by default are also can be classified as client OSs. Client OSs also, or all these are client OSs only. Okay, single user multitasking OSs like this are all client operating system. Then what is the example for what is this multi-user multitasking means? At any point of time, multiple user, more than a single user, can log in into the operating system, can connect to this operating system, and each of these user can perform multiple tasks, more than one task at the same time. Either it is a project, either it is sending an email, either it is access of internet, either it is playing accessing a printer, or any other task. Each user can perform multiple tasks. Okay. What are the examples? What we can classify here is first is Unix operating system. Okay, Unix is a thing. Linux operating system is a. These are the few of the things, and there are also Windows operating system server editions, server OS like. Okay, so Win 2000, Windows Server, Windows 2003 server. Okay, and Windows 2008, 2012. These are the simple examples. And one more thing, all the multi-user multitasking operating systems are server OS operating systems, servers, which can be configured as server. What is the difference between a client operating system and server operating system? Means server operating systems support multi-user multitasking. It gives many of the server options like configuring a NFS server, FTP server, web servers, DNS server, DHCP servers, and other servers also, many other operations. These can be configured on server operating systems, and on the client operating systems, we cannot configure this. Client operating systems are basically for user to log in into the server and work. Okay, and the client operating systems are basically for home use. Not server operating system is for company or domain use. Okay, client operating systems are basically for home use, internet purpose, basic working in a house, and other things. Okay. Rohit, any doubts, man? You can unmute and speak. Anirudh, any doubts? Are you? Am I clear with the concept and all?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Am I fast?
No, sir.
No, it's good.
You're able to get what I'm saying now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Yes.
Okay. Now we saw the classification. See how the classification is. OS is a operating system, which is actually interface between the user and the hardware, because hardware understands binary. OS as a user only understands, as a user who is actually operating the operating system, only understands high level English language. So there is some need of interface which converts our high level language to low level and low level back to high level. So there comes this operating systems. Okay, these are the things, and these operating systems again be classified according to these things: CUI based, GUI based, CLI based, or GUI based. CLI based operating systems where we don't have any GUI interface, graphical interface is not at all there. Okay, and we have to, for doing any of the tasks, we have to submit commands. We have to type the commands in the terminal. Okay, GUI operating systems are graphical oriented, and where we don't need to actually type the command, you need to actually use the click of a mouse to do any of the operations. Second classification is single user, multi-user. Okay. Third classification is client operating system and server operating system. And we have seen what is the difference, what is the classification, and what is the different technique. Okay. Anirudh is asking me a question: what is the difference between a Unix and Linux operating system? Anirudh, the answer we will to your question, which you are saying, what is the difference between Unix operating system and Linux operating system, will come in a 5 to 10 minutes, because that is also a part of the class. I can't reveal it now. So it will come in 5 to 10 minutes. You're going to see what is the difference. Okay. It will come. Today's class is actually for that purpose only. Okay. Just give me some time. Okay. Now we have seen OS classification. Okay. Now we will actually go to the next of our topic. Now we will see how the OS have come into existence. Till now we only saw what is the classification. Now we will see our original purpose of why you are learning that Linux operating system or Unix and how it came into existence. We will see that now. Okay, I am not saving this because I think you are having clear idea. I am not saving these things. Okay, now we will see how the history of Unix operating system and how the Unix and Linux came into existence. What is its history? This is the history of Unix operating system. First, we will start with the history of Unix operating system. Later, we will migrate to what is the history of Linux. As you can see here, Unix operating system history, which I have made here. See, first, way back in 1965. Okay, I'll just open this. Sorry, I'll just open it. Okay, as you can see here, I opened the history of Unix operating system. Graphically, we want to see what is the history, how it came into existence. Okay, first thing, the history of Unix operating system, we have to first, before precursor to this Unix operating system, which is the current server operating system we are learning. The precursors to this started with the Multics project. Here you can see here I am highlighting the Multics project. Okay, Multics project. What is the project? Full form of this Multics is Multix stands for Multiplex Information Computing System. Multiplex Information Computing System. It came way back in 1965. Okay, it came way back in. It is a project executed way back in 1965. Okay, who are the people who are executing? AT&T, Bell Labs, GE, and MIT. These were the collaborators who are executing this project in 1965. What is this project for? They wanted to create an operating system which supports more than one user. Okay, here they have created an operating system which supports more than a single user. Previous operating systems way back, even primitive to Multix, were only a single user operating system. We have just seen the classification: single user, single tasking; multi-user, multitasking. Okay, so Multix was the starting where multi-user operating systems came into existence. These are the precursors. Before Unix, these were the existing projects as operating system. Okay, this was main problem with this was, though it was not written in binary language, it was an improved format like assembly language. It was coded in assembly language, 100% assembly language. Okay, problem with this was it supports only 2 users and it only was written in assembly language. Assembly language better than binary language, but also it has got some of the issues. We are going to use opcodes, operation codes, to write our operating system code, and it used to support 2 users. Okay, this project, though written in assembly language, supported 2 users, was dumped. They wanted to create something better, so their next project was called Unix UNICS, not Unix. It is Unix, which is UNICS. You can see here I highlighted with the. Okay, Unix operating system stands for Uniplex Information Computing System, which I am highlighted here. See here, this is the Uniplex Information Computing System. It was taken as a project way back in 1969 by AT&T Bell Labs. Okay, here the Uniplex computing system, operating system, Uniplex Information Computing System project was executed 80% in C language, 20% in assembly language. Okay, so and it supported more than, and it supported more than 2 users. Okay, it supported more than 2 users. Okay, but this was written 80% in C language and 20% assembly language. Later, this was also having some of the issues, not very good. So later, when the C language came in the late 60s, okay, Unix, UNIX, our original operating system for which we are doing this administration and all, came into existence way back in 1973. Okay, Ken Thompson was the person from AT&T Bell Labs who has created this Unix operating system. And this Unix operating system, which came back way back in 1973, was written 100%, coded 100% in C language. Okay. Okay, this is the base Unix version operating system, which came back is the core or the base version. Okay, this is how Unix came into existence. Okay, any doubts, man? How Unix came into existence?
No, it's clear.
Now let's see. Precursors to Unix were DOS, Multix, Unix. Later it came Unix, and that took way back in 1973 and was written by 100% in C language. Apart from that, it was created by Ken Thompson from AT&T Bell Labs. Okay, this is the origin of Unix operating system, how it came into existence. Okay, now we have seen what is the history of Unix operating system. Now we will see the next part of our thing. What is the history of Linux operating system? Okay, and one more thing I have to specify here. When the Unix operating system came into existence in 1973, this Unix operating system was distributed or licensed, or the original operating system was distributed or licensed to different universities as well as different research and multinational companies. Okay, this was Unix operating system, core operating system, means core version. It is not the version which you are using, though it is called Unix now also or Linux now also. This is not the Unix which 1773 written Unix. Our Unix operating system is the updated and enhanced version of the old operating system which came in 1973. Okay, so this 1973 operating system later in 1974 was distributed to different or licensed to different universities. Okay, different universities. That time in Europe and America universities, this was licensed for research purpose. Okay, So after this was licensed, many other Unix enthusiasts worked on it, created many user level applications and enhanced the operating system. Okay, that way it was actually enhanced. It has become better operating system than the 1973 version, because that was worked upon by different university students, scientists and different multinational organizations. Okay, so this Unix operating system was taken by different multinational companies at that time. Unix kernel, which was written, was taken by multinational companies to create their own Unix-like flavors. Okay, you're getting what I'm saying? To create their own Unix-like flavor, this Unix original operating system licensed to different people. They actually took the base kernel version, improved upon it, and created their own Unix kind of operating system, flavors of Unix. Okay, what are those and what are those companies? Now we are going to see. Okay, how the Unix came into existence, we have seen. How the different Unix operating system taken by different multinationals to create their own Unix flavors, and which company, and that we will see now. As you can see here, I am pasting some of the things for your information. As you can see here, during the late 1980s, after Unix came into existence and was distributed to different organizations or licensed to different universities and organizations for the purpose of enhancement. Okay, okay. Man, who is this person? Its name is called Dairy Milk. Please mute yourself. Hello, sir. The name is Dairy Milk. I don't know why you have put like that. Please mute yourself. Okay. Okay. So now the Unix came into existence in the late 1980s. These Unix operating system flavors were created by different vendors and different multinational organizations, big companies at that time, multinational companies like AT&T Bell Labs, Sun Microsystems, IBM, Silicon Graphics, SCO, Santa Cruz Operation, BSD, Berkeley Software Distribution, HP. These are the different Unix vendors. Means these are the different multinational organizations have taken this Unix operating system, kernel, original kernel, and have developed, modified and developed their own operating systems in their own name. AT&T Bell Labs, which stands for American Telephone and Telegraph, released an operating system, flavor of Unix operating system like System 5 Release 3. Sun Microsystem released operating system, their own operating system in the name of Sun Solar. These are all actually the later versions of Unix operating system. These are all the flavors, original. AIX from IBM, IRIX from SG, FreeBSD Linux from Berkeley Software Distribution, HP Unix. Okay. These are the different distributions. These are the different distributions. Okay, from Unix. These are the different Unix flavors. Okay, how the Unix came into existence, and what are the different flavors of this operating system we have seen. Okay.
Sir, Linux uses which kernel?
Okay, I will tell you. Who is asking this? Who is asking this one?
Sir, me.
Linux will be using kernel name of the Linux is VM Linux. Okay, which will be located in the /boot directory. You will get to know what are the components of the Linux operating system and what are the purposes of each of the component and what are the tasks later in this class. Okay, now we are actually at what level is we are actually here in the history of Unix operating system and what are the different flavors of the Unix operating here. Yeah, later in the class you will get to know what are the components of the Linux operating system like kernel, shell, utilities, user, and all the things. That time I'll let you know what are the Linux operating system kernel name, what are the different shells, and what are the properties or tasks of these. Okay, for time being, just remember later in the class. Okay, now we are seeing what is the Unix operating system vendor. Okay, who is the vendor? Is a multinational organization like AT&T Bell Labs. What is the operating system is created? System. And one of the important notes I have to tell you, Though this Unix operating system, Rohit can't hear me. 1 minute, man. There is some issue. Rohit is saying not hear me. Rohit, can you hear me, man? Just give me a second, man. Okay. So now we will see. Important note to here. Thing is that though this Unix, these flavors, okay, Rohit is having some issue. Just give me a minute, man. Okay. So though these Unix flavors was taken by different organizations and they were created their Unix like flavor, main point is all these flavors above flavors are CLI only, and they all are licensed OS operating system. They are not free. They are licensed operating system. Note, thing is that all the above layers are CLI based only. They are not graphical based. They are licensed operating systems only. You cannot use them directly, download them, use them directly. You need to pay license to use them. And above all, one of the main other note, all second note what I'm giving is all these are server OS operating systems only. Not, they cannot be configured to be used like a client OS operating system like Linux. There are server operating system and they are all licensed. And the third note what I'm giving here, they are not hardware independent. They are all are hardware specific. What is meaning of hardware specific? You cannot install them on all hardwares. Okay, they are licensed. All the flavors are CLI based and are licensed operating system, not free. Okay, all our server operating systems can't be configured to be used as a server client operating systems. And third main thing, there are hardware specific. If you wanted to install specific small example, if you wanted to install Sun Solaris operating system as a server hardware on the server, you cannot install them on Intel based hardware. You have to buy Sun Spark machines. Okay, operating system is licensed from Sun Microsystems and the operating system hardware to be purchased also. Okay, any doubts, man? Okay, Rohit, you're getting what I'm saying? Please unmute and speak. Anirudh, any doubts? Am I clear?
Yes, but
Yes, sir.
missed this part. So your audio was not. I was not able to.
No problem, Rohit.
That-
You can. Okay, tell me.
Okay, it's okay. Means I understood that these are the licensed operating systems. So that
You
part is
got to
clear.
understand that the main important point is Unix cannot be, though Unix operating system 73 version was not used, it has got many flavors from different multinationals, and main point is that all the above players are licensed operating system and there are server operating systems only, and there are hardware specific. You can't install them on your laptops and other hardware. Intel based hardware doesn't work. You need to buy. Okay, one of the question asked by Mr. One of the question was raised by this person. I just wanted to. Okay, 1 minute. One of the question was raised by Mr. Anirudh. He was asking what is the main difference between a Unix and Linux operating system. Anirudh, main difference between a Unix and Linux operating system is Linux operating system is not licensed to base OS. It is a free open source. First difference. Second, the Linux operating system is completely portable. It can be installed on any hardware architecture, Intel based, other based architecture. Third thing, it is not hardware specific. Anirudh, are you getting my answer? You asked a question, difference between Unix and Linux. Third thing is Linux operating system can be configured as a server OS as well as a client OS. Okay, server and client OS both from the same operating system software. If you can configure the software to work as a client operating system and as well as a server operating system. And fourth difference between Unix and Linux is Unix is purely CLI based or character user, means you have to submit commands to do. Linux is both character user and GUI. It supports GUI also. Anirudh, did you get the answer, man? Anirudh,
Yeah. Yeah.
now you got to understand what is the difference between Linux and Unix operating system. Okay. Now we will see. Now we have finished the Unix operating system flavors. What are the purpose? What are the different specific points about the Unix operating? Now we will see the history of Linux operating system. And one more thing, our class will continue another 45 minutes. Is it okay for all?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. Yes, then okay. Then right. So now we have seen what is the Unix operating system existence and other things. Now we will see what is the history of Linux operating system, how it came into existence and other things. So now see. Now this is the history of Linux operating system. Okay, Linux started as a kernel developed by Linus Torvalds in 1991 in Helsinki University. This kernel, he was actually created from a obscure Unix flavor. He has taken the kernel, not totally, but he has actually taken this kernel from a Unix flavor called Minix. Okay, and he developed the kernel and he submitted the kernel with the source code to Open Source Foundation or Open Software Foundation, OSF. It is an organization. OSF is an organization. Later, this kernel distributed by OSF between the different Linux enthusiasts who have taken the original kernel from this OSF, Open Software Foundation, and created many user-level applications above the kernel, and they totally created, after this user level applications created and integrated with the Linux kernel, original Linux operating system came into existence. How it came into existence? Kernel developed by Linus Torvalds was based on an obscure Unix flavor called Minix. The kernel was submitted to this Open Software or Open Source Foundation. These Open Source Foundation people actually submitted or distributed this to many Linux open source enthusiasts or scientists who worked upon the Linux kernel to create many user level applications. Okay, different APIs were implemented by these fellows. Later, these all were packaged together, kernel with applications, to create a complete Linux operating system, free operating system. Thing is that Linux from the open, note I have written here, Linux from the starting is an open source and freeware. Open source means source code of the operating system can be actually accessible freely, no restrictions, and at the same time all the applications created on this operating system freeware can be deployed and implemented freely. Okay, that is how Linux came into existence. Now we will see after the Linux came into existence. Okay, now we will see what are the different flavors, what are the different vendors. As we have seen Unix flavors and vendors, now we will see what are the different Linux flavors and their vendors. Okay. Okay. Prashant has a problem with something. Just give me a second. Poor network due to rain. Tomorrow join. Okay, okay, man. Okay. Okay, you can join tomorrow, Prashant.
So as far as I understood with this discussion, hello.
Tell me.
So I understand. Yeah, this Unix operating system is not freeware, right?
Yes, Unix operating system, though developed by 1973, was not distributed freely, but taken over by different organizations to create their Unix flavors. Okay, Unix flavors, and these flavors, okay, these flavors, though distributed by Linux, these flavors, because it was created and developed by different multinationals, these fellows were actually very knack enough that they created operating system in such a way it only works for their customized for their own company. Okay, like AT&T, Bell Labs, or whichever developed Unix operating system were customized to actually suit their company's needs and even the company's hardware. Okay, company's needs and their company's hardware, and these are licensed operating systems. And in order to use this operating system, you need to actually pay the license, get the support, get the hardware also, then only you can do. But the main problem with Unix is that this was the main problem. So the Linux operating system from the starting being CLI based, GUI based, apart from that, fresh implementation of all the Unix old APIs. API means application programming interfaces. Apart from open source and freeware, hardware independent, any platform it can be deployed, and it can be deployed as a client based operating system. Same operating system software can be configured to work as a client OS and server OS at the same time. So this has made Linux very popular, and many of the most modern companies who are being setting up their new companies, they are also migrating from this, taking back from this Windows or Unix based operating system to Linux, because free of cost, all the support is there, and secure, reliable. Then why should I go for a licensed operating system, and that to hardware specific? Lakhs of rupees or crores of rupees to buy the hardware, servers and all the things. Setting up is costly. Now you got to understand why Linux becomes so important. And Rohit, got it?
Yes, I understood.
So that way it has become very popular, and we are learning because. And one more thing, if you are one of the main other important tasks, I did not type here, I will tell you. Okay, what is the main thing is that suppose you have created all the Linux flavors. Linux is also a flavor of Unix, and from this Unix they have multiple hundreds of Linux flavors also. And one more important thing is Linux means, which is not in Unix. If you have created a setup in a Linux operating system, suppose you have created a setup in a Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Okay, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Red Hat is a vendor or a company which distributes his operating system in the name of Red Hat Enterprise Linux. When you actually create some settings, suppose in that Red Hat Enterprise Linux you have purchased or licensed very less amount, few thousands of rupees only. And if you take that operating system and you have created your company's website, suppose you have used a Apache web server. Apache web server is an application in the Linux operating system to deploy websites, HTML based website. So if you have created your application for Apache web server in Red Hat Enterprise Linux, take the configuration file, just copy paste the configuration file of that Apache web server and the data HTML pages to CentOS operating system, and just restart the system. It works the same. No need. Completely portable means application code, application settings are totally portable from one Linux flavor to other Linux flavor, which is not possible in Unix. Rohit, you're getting the answer. Anirudh, getting the answer.
Yes.
Portability, application level, configuration level, portability is also there. Means take the setup, configuration setup of one thing, just copy paste it to the new or a different flavor of Linux operating system. It works the same. No changes, no nothing. Everything the same, exactly. This can you get in Windows? This can you get in other things? Answer me, Rohit and Anirudh. Is this possible in Linux only? It is not possible in Windows or Unix also. Getting? That is the popularity of Linux operating system. And who is going to take care of this hardware, this source code compatibility or configuration compatibility between different Linux flavors? GNU. Anirudh just asked me, what is GNU? GNU is an organization which actually supports this open source. It actually supports this open source configurability and portability between different Linux OSs, different Linux flavors. Anirudh, did you get my answer? You are asking. Okay, Anirudh is saying okay. Rohit, did you get your answer, man? This is
yes.
not possible. Yes, this is not possible in Unix and Windows. You cannot. You've created a Unix operating. You created some setup for Windows 2003 server, which cannot be ported to Windows 2008 or 2012 server. There is a lot of difference, and only Linux supports this. And because of how Linux supports this is organization like OSF, GNU, which are working in the background. These are the organizations which will create rules and regulations such that though Linux flavor is created newly, though it should be really portable between this Linux flavor to one of the Linux flavor. Means setup created for RHEL can be ported to CentOS or any other thing. Just copy the configuration files and the data and restart the service. Everything works the same. Okay, this is the main thing between Linux and this. You get the answer why Linux and why not Unix or Windows. This is my answer for that. Okay, Anirudh. Okay, Rohit.
Yes, okay.
Okay. Now we have seen Linux operating system, these things. Okay, Unix operating system, and now we got to understand what are the history of Linux operating system. Now we will see. See here, this is the standard which has been adopted by GNU people. What is that called? POSIX standard. Here we have highlighted POSIX is a standard adopted by GNU and OSF people for maintaining open source application and configuration interoperability between different Linux vendors. Man, I think you got the answer, Rohit. What is
Yes.
the thing? POSIX is the standard adopted by these GNU and OSF people who manage this Linux flavor in order so that open source application and configuration portability, interoperability means one operating system code can be taken and put it to other and work same way in any Linux vendor. This is
So,
the POSIX standard. Okay.
So suppose if I have to develop my own Linux operating system with my name
So,
or with my company name.
yeah,
So,
you can take the source code available. Source code will be freely available from GNU or other. Download it, modify it according to thing, but you have to adhere to this POSIX standard set by GNU and OSF people to you publish your operating system before you publish. They will give you
So-
three of, but in order to tell me.
so that source code, if I make some changes to the operating system, so I need to submit to POSIX.
Yes,
To which
because
organization?
this organization GNU POSIX is a standard. It is not an organization. GNU and OSF are the organization who are implementing this POSIX standard to actually maintain.
From GNU.
What?
So they will check and they will approve.
They have to approve, na? Because before you publish this as a Linux operating system, which is an open source, because whatever code you write is also then kept on the open source. Your code you developed is also then submitted. That is open source. People same the code can be taken. Your code taken to develop other also. Likewise, you are doing the same thing that can be supported to other people also. Same code will be taken. Suppose you have made some changes. You have created your own utility on your Linux operating system according to your requirement. That code by default will be again submitted by the GNU and kept there. Any people can actually download it and modify it according.
Okay.
That way, so if it is not working, either you submit the source code, create your operating system, and then use it. No, you wanted to publish it, you have to publish it freely there also. Then the same code will be then published by the GNU OSF people.
Okay, understood.
Just give me a second, I'm just getting a call. Please, 2 minutes.
No. So Anirudh, are you working somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay, which
Rohit,
company?
CTS.
Okay.
Rohit, can I take a class? So now we got to understand history of Linux operating system, how it came to existence, what is the meaning of POSIX standard, what is the GNU OSF functionality of this organization GNU and OSF. Okay, now we got to understand Rohit, I suppose. Now we will see what are the different flavors, vendors and flavors of the Linux operating system. Okay. See here, I am actually pasting the different vendors and flavors of the Linux operating system here. Okay. See here, different vendors of the Linux operating systems are like this. See, Red Hat is one of the vendor. What is the vendor name, man? Who sells the product? Final product, who is actually developing and selling is called a vendor. And what are the different distributions? These are the distributions. Red Hat Enterprise Linux is a distribution. SUSE, SUSE, SUSE Linux is also one of the things. It is a flavor of Linux operating system, original Linux operating system. Okay. Ubuntu is one of the flavor. Rohit, Anirudh, able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes. These are the different vendors. Fedora is one of the things. Mandrake is one of the things. CentOS is one of the things. And these are all Linux flavors, and these are all free, very less license, and open source, freeware, hardware independent, and can be configured as a client and server OS. Okay, these are the different distributions. Okay, now we got to understand what are the Linux, how did Linux came into existence, what is the POSIX, what is GNU, and now we have seen what are the Linux vendors and distributors. Okay, Red Hat, if you want to use any of the Linux operating system, you can choose between these things, and these are only few of the things which I mentioned. There are hundreds of different vendors and hundreds of different distributions in Linux operating system. I am mentioning only few. 6 I have mentioned. There are 100 to 200 more operating systems based on the original Linux operating system. Okay. Now we are seeing this. And one more important thing is, suppose we take the example of Red Hat vendor. See now, example Red Hat vendor. Vendor name is Red Hat. Okay. From each vendor, there are multiple distributions. Okay, multiple editions and distributions from each vendor. Okay, I'm going to write. There are multiple distributions. What distributions? And versions from each vendor. What I'm getting, you're getting what I'm saying. If you are taking the example of a Red Hat Enterprise Linux, vendor name is Red Hat. From each Red Hat vendor, there are multiple other distributions and versions also. Okay, that doesn't mean from Red Hat means only one Linux, Red Hat Linux. No, Red Hat has two kind of distributions. First distribution is free distribution, free OS. Okay, second kind of distribution is commercial editions. Getting? Man, Anirudh and Rohit, getting? If you take the example of a single vendor called Red Hat, from Red Hat, there are multiple distributions and versions from each vendor. Okay, what are those things? We will see now. See here. Okay. See here. I am pasting it here. Okay. See here. Red Hat में दो type of vendors है, free Red Hat Linux and commercial editions. Okay, what is the difference? RHL. What is the commercial edition of the Red Hat Linux? Commercial is called RHEL, which stands for Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which I have written here, RHEL. Okay, there are two free editions. See, free editions are named in the format of Red Hat 1 to Red Hat 9. Okay. Man, it is all confusing. I'll type the things, so it is not in the format. Sorry, I'll just type. Okay, free options. I'm writing here. See here, free editions are named as Red Hat 1 to Red Hat 9. These are free editions from the same Red Hat vendor. Okay. Commercial editions were released in the format of, are named as RHEL 1 to RHEL 8 currently. Current latest is RHEL 8. What is the meaning of this RHEL? RHEL stands for for Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Okay, RHL stands for Red Hat Enterprise Linux. This is the commercial version. Okay, Rohit getting? Anirudh, you are getting? Okay, what is the difference between these free editions and commercial editions? Okay, what is the difference? And later the free editions after Red Hat 9 were named in the format of Fedora. Fedora 1 to currently Fedora 30. These are free editions. Okay, Fedora 34, sorry, currently 34. Okay, what you are getting? See here. What is this free edition and what is this commercial edition from the same Red Hat vendor? Okay, there is some doubt raised. Okay, nothing. What is this difference? What is this difference between a free edition and a commercial? Whatever the source code first developed by that Red Hat team, Linux team, Red Hat company's team will be released as a free edition. Source code or application will be released as a free edition. Later, these applications are debugged for any bugs and other things corrected, and they are then released as commercial edition version. Getting, Rohit? First, the data or the source code released as a free edition, debugged, made changes, enhanced properly. Then, after everything is correct and they feel, they will release the same source code or port the same free source code to commercial edition and release them in the name of Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Okay, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, RHEL 8. RHEL first version of Red Hat Enterprise Linux was RHEL 1. Now the current version, latest version is RHEL 8. And in our today Red Hat Enterprise, we are going to learn Linux administration. We are going to do our administration in RHEL 7 and RHEL 8. Okay. So we are going to learn the latest and RHEL version. Getting, man? Okay, now we have seen what are the free editions, what are the commercial editions, and what is the difference between a commercial edition and a free edition. Okay, and what is the meaning of RHEL stands for Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Okay, we are here in our course. In our course, we will be learning admin concepts, administration concepts in CentOS operating system. Why I'm asking? Any answer for this? Why? Anirudh or Rohit, I am saying we are here to learn RHEL 7 and RHEL 8 administration. But we are going to implement our concepts in CentOS operating system. Any answer, Rohit or Anirudh?
Because CentOS is part of that Red OS.
Perfect. Perfect. Rohit is giving a good answer. Correct only. To the point, it is correct. Anirudh, this is the answer. Thing is that say RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which is the Red Hat coming from Red Hat vendor. For Red Hat vendor, operating system can be downloaded freely. It can be downloaded. It can be subscribed also. See here, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you a question. Can I download a Red Hat operating system? Oh yes. See, you can download a Red Hat Enterprise Linux image, no cost at all. Head over to Red Hat developer program and create an account. You can download. Okay, see here. Head out to Red Hat download page. You can download the free Red Hat operating system. Can you all see? Can you all see? Rohit, I'm asking you.
Yes, I can.
But after downloading, main problem is that you can download, you will deploy the operating system maybe in your laptop or even your company server. Okay, everything is fine. In company, they will take license, no problem. That is just a peanut for them. For us to work, because we have to learn the operating system, we don't deploy a server operating system, server hardware and don't. We need to download the operating system. We can download it because it is very clearly given. You can download. Problem with this Red Hat Enterprise Linux and difference between the CentOS is that difference I'm saying. Why I'm using CentOS to train you in this administration course is after you deploy the Red Hat Enterprise Linux, in order to download patches, or you wanted to download extra specific application packages from the online repository of Red Hat, here you will have to have subscription. There you can't update it. But see here, I'm just showing you one example here. This is my CentOS operating system, CentOS 7. I'll show you what is my operating system name. I'm going to show you here. You name -A. You can see this is my CentOS operating system, kernel version 3.10, Linux operating system 64-bit. And what is the operating system version? CentOS release. See here, this is my operating system version. cat/etc CentOS release. This is my operating system which I am using. But I am saying Red Hat operating system, but I am using CentOS flavor of Linux operating system. Only thing is, main thing is, difference is, after installing the Red Hat Enterprise Linux, in order to download patches or in order to download some third-party application, extra packages or other options, you need to pay license. Online repositories are not free. But if you go to the same CentOS operating system, which is ditto, just the name change like from Red Hat to CentOS, you don't need to pay any subscription to download the software. After installing the software also, all the repositories, see here, these are the repositories. This is the repositories, repo list, see here. These repositories which will work to download applications, these see here. These repositories are free to use. Free to use. You can using these repositories. These many applications, see here, 36,492 applications are there in this repository, different packages. These are free to download, not to pay any license, not to ask any permission, nothing. CentOS supports the same Red Hat Enterprise Linux, same, with the free, total free. That is the main power of CentOS. That is the main. In case you are going to RHEL, after installing or deploying the operating system, you want some packages, updation or thing, you need to pay license and to get the online repository. This is the online repository base. Okay, this is the offline repository CentOS server which I have created. These online repositories to work in order to download and all update packages, that will you have to pay to the Red Hat Enterprise Linux fellow, RHEL, Red Hat vendor. You can't do it. But now, tell me, man. Who is asking? Rohit, tell me. Question.
Every Linux distribution has its own repository, or it is a common for each and every distribution of Linux?
See, if you are going for Red Hat, then obviously Red Hat people is a vendor. Why he will give a common repository? Man? He will have his own operating system. Depending on that repository, online repository location or server will be maintained by Red Hat people only. But one thing,
No.
because
I mean,
I
mean to say, like you said in just few minutes back, like
yes,
all the softwares in each and every flavor of
yes, that is what I'm saying. That is only what I'm saying. Let me finish my answer. Thing is that I just told you interoperability is there. That is what you are asking. Is it that?
Yes. So why then?
Yes, though maintained. See here, I will open a repository URL. See here. cd/etc m.repos.d. Here my repository files are there. I am opening the base repository CentOS base.repo. This is my online repository from CentOS. Though it is CentOS, see here. Base.repo. You can see here what is the thing. The mirror uses the connection IP address from client, and this is from where you are deploying mirror list. See here, mirror list CentOS.org. Applications though created and interoperable by different things, but every company supports its own repository by using their own servers. The application you have downloaded for this repository, copy paste it to Red Hat, it works. That is what I'm saying. But maintenance of the repository is specifically by the company itself, Red Hat or CentOS. See here, mirrorlist.centos.org. See here. See here. From where it is downloaded? See here, mirrorlist.centos.org. What is that? CentOS people were website
Yes.
domains. So, but if you download, suppose you have downloaded a application, think for CentOS 8, some application, copy paste that application to Red Hat and install, it will work. That is what I'm saying. You are thinking that repository is different, means application is different. No, repository maintenance is for different companies, but application is totally interoperable.
No, I understand. Repository is just like a Google Play. We download the software. those
From
things.
where you download, because this Linux operating system is not a direct Windows kind of thing. This will be repository CentOS is maintaining, but CentOS may not have created the application totally by themselves. Maybe they have copied the Red Hat application and which is modified or released the same way. But where you are downloading is from CentOS, means CentOS repository. In Red Hat, it will have its own repository name. Here, the mirror list will be here, mirrorlist.redhat.org. But application, after downloading the application can be ported. That is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Anirudh, am I clear, Anirudh? Any doubts, man? Anirudh, any doubts? Rohit, are you understanding, man? Is it anything difficult?
No, I understood. But
Okay.
do we get video of this lecture?
Yes, this will be actually, you can actually contact the institute people, they will give them. Okay. So now we have seen what is a repository just for finding. And why we are switching over to CentOS is only difference is CentOS is a ditto copy of Red Hat Enterprise Linux with no license at all. And downloading also very free. See here, how to download a CentOS operating system. No need to give any subscriptions. No need to fill a form and submit it. Nothing. See here, download CentOS 7 server. Suppose just give enter. You are directly going to download CentOS. See here, opening that. Here you have seen CentOS 8 is there, CentOS 7 is there. If you want CentOS 7, click on it. x86 is the 64-bit version, click on it. Now you are showing mirrors. These are the different servers located, different geographical location. Click on any of the thing, it will download. What is the version? CentOS 7.9 2009 version will be downloaded. How easy it is. But this operating system is around 10 GB data. It will take time to download. And Rohit, getting?
Yes.
You
So
can download. Tell me.
Can we create a persistent USB of this CentOS?
Yes, you can use. You can actually use. What is that? ISOFS software will be there. How to create that bootable USBs? You can use that and create a USB bootable. Put it there and install. Otherwise, you can download. This will come in an ISO image. That can you keep in your hard disk. Burn it to a CD. Then also you install. No, you are using VMware. No need to burn the hard disk. No CD. No need to burn the USB pen drive. You just keep the ISO image in some of the folder. Just access it. See here. Here, where
Yes,
I'll show you. ISO
Yeah,
image can be down.
I have, because why I'm saying, because I am using Kali Linux in my pen drive, but I just plug the pen drive and I boot the pen drive and I just use it like this. There is no need to install. So can we do that?
Live CD. That is called live CD. There is implementation there. You have to search it, just that. I will show you live CD implementation. I'm also having it in my system, not for CentOS. I put it somewhere, I don't remember, but you can do it live CD. But instead of installing this whole ISO image, you have to download CentOS live CD or Red Hat live CD. Okay, live CD image, that will be around some 500 to 600 MB. Then just to put it in a CD-ROM as a CD or pen drive. Without installing, it boots from the pen drive, and then you just use it and shut down the system. It goes. That is what you're saying, na?
Yes.
Yes, it can be done, but depending on which one, what you want to use, you download that ISO image, live CD ISO image or total ISO image. Okay. Am I clear? Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now shall we proceed?
Yes.
So what is CentOS standing for? CentOS stands for Community enterprise OS operating system. OS, community enterprise operating system. Only difference between these things is same thing, without license, without registration, you can download, and online repositories are also free. I showed you how the online repositories work, how to check it. Got the answer, man? Dilip, Rohit, I think you got my answer, I suppose.
Yes.
So now we will go to, now we have seen flavors of Linux operating system, different vendor. What is the difference between a free edition and a commercial edition? Okay, we have even seen. Now we will see what are the features of a Linux operating system, why we are using this Linux operating system. Okay, that we will see features of Linux operating system. After these features, we will go to the components or architecture of an operating system. See, I am going for the next line. See, now here. This is the features of Linux operating system. Why is actually everybody preferring Linux operating system? This is the feature. This, because of these features, everybody is preferring. First feature, you know this. I don't need to explain. Open source and open system. I think you understand all these things. Anirudh and Rohit. What is open source? Source code available free, open system. You can modify and make changes. Okay. It is a freeware. No need to pay for using it. It is multi-user multitasking. That is the purpose of a server operating system. Platform independent means any hardware platform it can work. Application also is a platform independent. Application can be ported from one Linux operating system to other vendor of Linux operating system. Some Red Hat Enterprise Linux to CentOS. Copy paste the application and files, it works. What is the programming facility? Shell scripting is the programming facility to automate scripts and all the things. You can automate many tasks like backup, setting down, setting up, starting up the operating, setting down the operating system, taking backup, deploying, reporting any issues, automating the tasks. These are all using programming facility. Okay, programming facility, shell scripting, online help. If you want to get the help of anything, see here, I'm showing. Any help is just a seconds away with here. I'm opening this. I just want to have a help. What is that? Man. What is the command I want? PWD is the command. Suppose what is the meaning? Just to give man PWD, you get the command help with all the options. What you can do it. This is the online help, free help available. If you have license, you can actually even raise a ticket if you have any issue. If you have license, sir, I need a support. If you have taken from Red Hat vendor, if you are having license, you can raise a ticket where you will get the support also. Okay, customizable means depending on your need of your company or your requirement, you can customize and enhance it free of cost. Okay, that is one of the thing. Portable. Okay, what is the portability? Same application portability and hardware portability. Same operating system can work on Windows or Intel based other operating system architectures also. Scalable means same operating system can work as a small desktop computer operating system and also a supercomputer, same software. Okay, reliable. Why it is reliable? Not in a single second downtime. Very reliable. And most important of thing, very secure. And the security in Linux is 3 levels of security. In Unix or Linux, user level security is the first level of security. What is user level security? Only authorized or authenticated users can log in. Okay, no other people can log in. Second thing, file system permissions and data encryption. A user or owner of a file can decide who can read that file, who can write that file, and who can execute that file. No other person, without even they are a part of the same Linux operating system, can access the file. Even they get the access, they can't open the file, read or execute it without the permissions from owner of the file. Okay, who has created. Third level of security is it has got inbuilt firewall, which is called IP tables, and currently in RHEL 7 and 8 it is called dynamic firewall. Apart from that, it has also one kind of firewall called SELinux, which stands for Security Enhanced Linux. Any idea about SELinux? Rohit?
No. No.
Okay. Okay. Small example. What is SELinux? Very important. You know what is IP tables? Rohit and Anirudh?
No, in Linux I do not know.
Anirudh, I'm asking. Anirudh, any idea? Okay, Anirudh is saying no. So I will let you know. Basically, Windows also has an inbuilt firewall. Windows operating system, not a server operating system. I'm talking about the client operating system, Windows 8, Windows 10, or even Windows 7 ML. That is not so effective. That's just the naam ke vaste firewall. That doesn't work properly. I mean, that is not so powerful enough to stop. But these IP tables and dynamic firewall, IP tables was from 2.4 kernel onward, Linux 2.4 kernel onward. IP tables came into existence. This is called the default firewall. Okay, this is coming. And from Linux RHEL 7 and 8, from kernel 3.10 and kernel 3 point version 3.0 onwards, the firewall was named as dynamic firewall or firewall D. Okay, this is a very powerful firewall, and it is as good as and up to a level of as good as like your paid firewalls you to buy like these firewalls, what is ESET or Norton, McAfee. This is as good as those things, free of cost. And what is this SE Linux is that suppose by chance SE Linux implements MAC means mandatory access controls. Okay, SE Linux implements
So
MAC.
this
MAC stands for mandatory access control. These are implemented at the kernel level. Every packet passing, data packet coming into through your network will be scanned by SE Linux or IP tables and a dynamic firewall. And if it is the packet is fine and it is applicable, then only the packet is allowed to pass through to the application. Then only application inside will receive the packet. Otherwise, the packet will be discarded in between. This is the purpose of the property of a firewall. And what is the SE Linux is security enhanced Linux. Very important. Very thing. Using SE Linux. Suppose you have implemented on your Linux server, web server. Okay. Web server. What is a web server? Website. Hosting a website for your company. Suddenly, this Linux server, apart from that, on the same Linux server, you have implemented FTP server, domain server like LDAP. Suppose this your web server gets hacked. Rohit, you are getting. Rohit, your web server gets hacked by chance. Linux, by chance, somebody hacked your web server. But if you hack the web server, the hacking or the security will be only localized to your web server only. Though that fellow has hacked the web server, he cannot get hold of other data like FTP server data or your LDAP server data or your any client data stored in it. It will localize, the hack will be localized to that application only. Other applications still will be secure. That will be done using SE Linux. Even if it is hacked, the hacking or the leakage is actually restricted to certain application or certain files only. Not the whole operating system or server is compromised. No, only that application in that in that server operating system is compromised. That will be taken care by this SE Linux. Even if it is hacked, that hacking or the security which has been down is localized by SE Linux to be to that level of application and files accessible by that application. Web server application using that hack, he cannot he cannot take access of other applications. Okay, localize. So that is the power of SE Linux.
Okay.
SE Linux, and that will be not in this admin class. We take that in a part of advanced Linux administration class. Okay, IP tables, dynamic firewall, and all part of advanced Linux class. Okay, see, now you got to understand what are the properties or features of Linux operating system. Why everybody and many of the companies are now migrating to Linux operating system because of these things, these properties of Linux features which you are implementing: security, reliability, scalability, open source, multi-user, multitasking, platform independent, program portable, configuration of the program or applications are portable. Do you get these things? Any other thing? By example, can you please tell me, Rohit or Anirudh? Can you quote any other example of non-Linux operating system giving all these features for free?
No.
So that is the power of Linux operating system. So everybody is learning Linux. Why? And one more thing, if you learn any of the flavor of the Linux, you can jump to any other flavor of the Linux without any course or doing again. All are implemented. Mostly commands, few of the commands or option changes. Remaining 90% is the same only. Okay, Anirudh.
But other vendors like firewall vendors like Checkpoint, because I have worked on
That
Checkpoint.
Checkpoint is a different thing, man. Checkpoint is not a firewall application only, but it is not equivalent to dynamic firewall IP table. That is a different thing.
No, what I am saying, like in Checkpoint, the operating system itself is a Linux-based operating system, right?
Yes, because okay, I will tell you, Linux is the thing because
But,
they implement Linux because Linux is open source. They will take the original source kernel from the all the things, modify accordingly, and use. So by default, the kernel based on Linux, neither the commands or the properties on which the checkpoint was implemented is on Linux. That's the only thing because Linux is open source. See, Android applications have come. You know, Android applications, phone, mobile phone. Okay, is that Android application created from scratch or may have been actually taken the same source code of different operating system, modified the Android and published? It happens like that, na? That way only. Android is also a operating system only, free operating system, though called as Android. Maybe that Android is totally not built from scratch. Maybe that has been also copy pasted from other things also. Maybe they have modified, but base concept of operating systems comes from this only. All operating system migrate or have developed or started from Unix only. And Multics, yes. Yes, let us localize our examples to Linux only, man. I have no idea about checkpoint implementation. Sorry. Okay. Are you getting all the things? Man, Rohit, understanding?
Yes.
So now we have seen features of Linux operating system. Now we will see why the Linux operating system is so power implemented, and we will see what is the different things like this here. Few of the questions here. See, first of the questions, these are the things I'm just copying pasting this. These things are important.
So do we learn all those things like TCP dump, OpenSSL, security, I mean to say, security part of the Linux?
Security part of the Linux like IP tables, dynamic firewall and AC Linux, we actually take as a course in advanced Linux class. This is a core Linux class.
Not IP tables, OpenSSL, TCP dump, and to troubleshoot things.
OpenSSL we will see, but OpenSSL will be seeing when we are actually configuring HTTPS server. Okay, OpenSSH, not SSL. H are you saying SSL, secure shell or secure log?
OpenSSL.
OpenSSH is used for SSH, remote configuration, SSH command. SSL is this. Okay, what? Man, let us do with the Linux and demo session today.
Okay.
Okay. I think most of the concept what I told is all perfect. Do you have any issue with these things?
No, I was just curious whether those parts are included or not.
OpenSSH connectivity will be thought because without SSH connectivity we can't do. But VNC, there are two kinds of connectivity you can do. Remote connectivity, because server will be located in a remote location. You actually, though be an admin, you will be remotely connecting the server and do the thing. So for that, OpenSSH configuration will be third. And one more thing is a graphical implementation of the same connectivity, which is called VNC. You know VNC server. You know VNC server.
Yes.
That will be shown VNC server as part of advanced Linux. I will let you know what is the core content of this subject, and advanced Linux contents also I'll show you. Depending on that, you can choose the course. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. See now, we are here. Now we have made some details of the thing. These are the things, important questions, doubts you get whenever you are working here. Starting and pasting it. See, what these questions can be asked. What is the main difference between Linux and Unix? You got to understand. I'm sure. Main difference between Unix and Linux, Rohit, you got to understand. You
Yes.
got the answer already. And why is Linux so popular? You got the answer. And what is the Linux server operating system or client operating system? Is Linux a CUI based or GUI based? Then question comes, why Linux only? You are asking. This is one of the answer. Why Linux only? They can ask you, na, why Linux only? You have Linux other. Why you want to go for Linux only? Linux operating system is CUI based, also support GUI based. Linux operating system is client based and server, okay, and highly scalable and reliable. But Unix operating system is originally a server only, server operating system only. Okay, you can say why Linux. This is the one of the thing. Why Linux? Anybody asks only why Linux? It is a fresh implementation of Unix APIs. Original Unix APIs was freshly implemented because APIs were developed lot back but implemented newly by Unix. Supports wide variety of hardware, supports wide networking protocol and configurations, and fully supported. Means you get the support, online support is there. So is the reason. See, Linux operating system like Unix is similar to Linux operating system is similar to Unix as each version, multitasking and multi-user, okay, and apart from that, wide hardware support. Red Hat supports all the modern x86 PC is Intel based architecture, x86 are fully supported. Red Hat give full support, provide support and gives support from the largest to the smallest to largest company are actually supported by Red Hat. Okay, so these all make what is this? These all make Linux a very good operating system, very favorable operating system, right? Right? Right.
Right.
Okay. Okay. You can see here scenario in production environment we use Linux servers and Windows servers both. But then why Linux only? See, in production environment we use Linux servers and Windows servers. Only thing is that Linux is more secure than Windows. Okay, see here how it is secure. I'll show you some small example. I wanted to show you how it is different. Linux file system hierarchy, Windows file system hierarchy is little different. I want to show you that. See here. Just a minute, I'll show you hierarchy. Windows. Where is Windows? This is. See, Windows file system are arranged this way. Under the C drive, you will have Windows folder, documents and settings folder, program files folder. See here, in my same Windows Linux operating system, I'm just opening these things. See, you can see C drive is there, D drive there. Under C drive, what you have, see, program files, Windows, this is how the data is arranged. This is the main thing. Windows is the directory where all the operating system files, log file, these files, boot files, everything. Program files is the area where your user level applications are installed, right? And users, this is the users directory where all the administrator and normal user data is there. And everything is under C drive. You can see here, everything under C drive. If a C drive gets corrupted, what happens? I'm asking what happens if C drive gets corrupted?
So there will be, we will not able to.
We don't be able to boot, no recovery, OS data will go and even users data will go, right? Right? But Linux may this file system are this way. See, some question is asking, wait man, do you have to format? Yes, sir. Without formatting, how? There are, Anirudh is asking, we have to format. Yes, sir. Anirudh, there are two types of file system, physical file system and logical file system. Okay, on physical partition, physical file system is a partition of a hard disk. You can't use the partition of hard disk directly, man. You have to format with a logical file system, which is equivalent to NTFS in Windows or FAT32 in Windows operating system. In Linux, it is called ext4, ext3, etc. Anirudh, did you get the answer? Anirudh, did you get my answer? Physical file system should be formatted with a logical file system. Three types of file systems are there: disk-based file systems, network-based file systems, and also temporary or virtual-based file system. You'll get to know in this file system concept Linux topic. Then you will get to know. Okay. See here, Linux file system is arranged like this, man. Linux file system is arranged this way. Rohit, you can see here. Difference is that every file system here, instead of C, we are adding slash at the top. This is called an inverted tree file system. Inverted tree, you can see slash is like a root. Other things are like branches or stems which are coming out from the root. And each of the things, each of this directory, like root is there, boot is there, bin is there. This can be created as a partition, separate partition in Linux. Windows, everything comes the same way. Under if slash corrupts the data in the bin directory where it will be inaccessible. But if you installation time, you can create a root as a different file system, boot as a different partition and file system. That way you are actually even the slash or root corrupts boot, bin, where, etc, home, every data will be still present, still accessible. This is the main difference between a Linux file system hierarchy and a Windows file system hierarchy. Rohit, getting?
Yes.
Okay, that is how Linux file system hierarchy better than a Windows file. Even one partition corrupt, the data is in a different partition, still be accessible. Okay, that is the first thing. See here, scenario in production environment, secure. And I showed you how the file system structures are different. That way it is more secure and better. See here, file systems hierarchy of Windows and Linux. Okay. One more thing difference is in Windows and Linux is in Windows there is no concept of shell. Linux, everything there is a shell. In between the kernel and the application program, shell will be residing. In Windows, there is no concept of shell. Okay, Linux has a concept of shell. And shell provides security. And shell provides, because of that security, 3 levels of security is there. User and user-based authentication, file level permissions, file level and SC Linux. These are all there. Windows doesn't have user level authentication is there, but no file level permissions, and firewall and not SC Linux are not present in Windows. So Linux is better. And in Windows, all the files are identified by extensions. exe file, dat file, bat file, mp3 file, doc file, which is ms doc file, these kind of. But Linux, files are identified using mode, type and mode. Files are identified using type and mode. Normal files are displayed as hyphen. If they start with hyphen, the normal file. Block special file. Devices also considered. Devices in Windows are considered devices. Linux, even devices are considered as a file. And block special file means hard disk file. Device file like CD-ROMs and other things. Character special file. And folders in Windows are equivalent to directories in Linux. And these are also considered as files. This is how Windows and Linux are different. No shell, no security, and how the files are identified in Windows is different. How the files are identified in Linux are different. How Linux treats each and every device also as a file. Directory is also a file, normal file is also a file, device is also a file, block special is also a file. Device and file is actually every file has got permissions. This way every device has got security. Rohit, you are getting? Everything is considered a file and every file has got permissions, file level permissions. So this way all the devices are secure. Rohit, getting?
Yes.
Because the Linux has file level permissions, and unlike Windows, Linux considers everything as a file. Normal ordinary text file is a normal file. If it is a hard disk, it is considered as a block file. If it is a device like CD-ROM, pen drive, that is also considered as a file. And every file has a file permission. That way, every device is secure. Right? That way is secure. Windows doesn't have this kind of security. That is why I have given the question, in production environment, you use Linux server instead of Windows. Why? That is the answer. My answer is this. Am I correct? Am I clear? Rohit?
Yes.
Rohit, am I lagging anything? You can ask me. You want anything? I can tell you. Am I lagging or am I clear?
No, yes, yes. Till now everything is clear.
Okay. Now we saw why is the Linux operating system so prominent and so good. That is the thing. Now we will see. Till now we are seeing. First we start with the classification of operating system. Later we came with the history of Unix operating system. Later we saw flavors and vendors of Linux operating system, how they came into existence. Then we switched over to Linux history to Linux vendors. After Linux vendors, each Linux vendor, what are the distributions, free distribution and commercial distribution. After that, we got to know what are the different properties of Linux operating system. Now we have seen, and how it is better than Windows. How is the Linux file system hierarchy better than Windows file system hierarchy? Not as better as Linux file system hierarchy. Now these all things make Linux preferable. Okay, now we will see the architecture of Linux operating system. Okay, shall I go forward, Rohit and Anirudh?
Yes.
We will start after the architecture. I will stop. Next class will be tomorrow. Okay, at the same time, 7 o'clock. Are you going to attend, Rohit and Anirudh? Tomorrow you're coming?
Yes.
Okay, see here. Now we have seen Linux and all the things. Now we will see Linux. What is this Linux operating system made of? Components of Linux operating system. Linux or Unix, both same. Okay, what are the components? See, first component, hardware, you can see is made up of, not hardware, it will be first thing kernel, second will be shell. Okay, third will be applications and utilities, user level applications and utilities and other utilities. Okay, on that users will reside. Users reside on the top. Okay, what is this kernel? What is this application? We will see in a diagrammatical format now. First, see here we can see. First, we will start with. First, we will start with this one. Okay, this one. Here, the first thing we can write as a hardware, because hardware is what? HW means hardware I'm writing. Is it okay? I should have mentioned the full names because I don't have space. I'm mentioning a small. Okay, hardware. HW means hardware. Okay, hardware. On hardware it resides. Next to on hardware, what it resides? First thing you will see. Okay, on hardware, kernel will reside. Okay, kernel will reside over the hardware because I am okay. I will writing center kernel. Okay, on the kernel there resides a thing called shell. Okay, you will see now shell. 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 Okay, on shell there will be utilities. Shell with utilities. Shell with the utilities like this. Utilities here. Utilities I am writing here. Utilities are applications also. All same you can call. User level applications, utilities. On this user will be residing here. Users will be user 1. You can write any number of users, any number, because this is a multi-user operating system. User 2, user 3. Okay, like this, multi-users. What are these? Some of the utilities I'll mention like this. Suppose I will just make some partitions like this corporations. Okay, what we will see, what are the simple examples? You can say cat command. You can see a ls command. Okay, you can see a pw command. Pw command. You can see a date command. You're getting what I'm writing? You are able to understand? It can be a database. See, Oracle database, DB database. This is the application level. It can be Open Office. OPN, OPN, enter, OFFIC. Getting, man, you are getting to understand what is this architecture? What is this? Tell me. What is this? Linux or Unix operating system architecture. Getting? Am I clear? Hello? Answer
Yes.
me. Rohit and Anirudh, you're getting what is this? Okay. See here. Hardware is the one which is actually we have to communicate. Maybe a printer, maybe a device driver, maybe a pen drive, maybe internet, or maybe a screen or keyboard, anything. You have to do that. Hardware only understands zeros and ones. Kernel is the one which resides over the hardware. This is called the primary component or the most important component of the operating system, kernel. Kernel is the one which creates a process, executes the process on a CPU, allocates memory for that process, allocate different schedules, different process for execution on CPU. Who are going to take care of all these things? Kernel. What is shell? Shell is a command line interpreter. Thing is that all the utilities are made of English language. Kernel cannot understand this. So the utilities are actually executed by the shell and made kernel understandable and vice versa. Okay. Shell utility don't directly speak to the kernel. Shell takes over. Shell arranges for the command or utility to be executed, submits to the kernel. This before submitting kernel, it interprets the utilities or application to kernel understandable format. Reverse, when kernel gives the output back to shell, shell actually converts this data back into user understandable format and gives the output. Getting? Rohit ji, getting?
Yes, yes.
Okay, now we will see, you have seen this. Now we will see what are the, man, 5 more minutes can I take, Rohit and Anirudh? Because already 9:04 it is. Can I take 5 more minutes?
Yes.
5 minutes, okay. See here, now we have seen the architecture is fine. What are the tasks of each of this thing? Task of kernel, tasks of shell, what are the utilities, and how is the user able to communicate with the hardware? What goes in the background? This is what we have to now take care. See. See, these are the things, component and what I made here. 1 minute. Now I'm actually see here. This is the picture. I'm going to paste this here. See here. Paste. What are the components of a Unix or Linux which have made a kernel, application, user, utility? Okay. What are the things? Please here. Like Linux shell and utility commands are the 3 components, and other applications are the components of a operating system. Okay. What is kernel? Kernel is a logical mechanism of the operating system. Operating system /LU. Kernel is the logical mechanism of the operating system, with the which is the combination of, okay. Kernel is one of the directly which interacts with the hardware, and it is a combination of OS, device drivers, and system calls. System calls are a low-level functionality which actually directly interact or speak to the hardware. Okay, system call. Device drivers and system call make the hardware accessible by the kernel. Okay. Okay. Kernel is a set of functions that make the heart of the OS. Kernel is a logical mechanism of the operating system, like this. You can say any of these things. Kernel is the operating system. This. 8 minutes. Okay. Okay. Now see. Sorry. So kernel is a set of functions that make the heart of the OS. It is one that directly interacts with the hardware. Okay. What are the? It provides an application interface between programs or utilities which are running and the physical devices. Okay. What is the meaning of a system call? System calls are used to by the kernel in order to interact with the hardware using the device. Okay. What happened? Sorry, some mistake. I have made 1 minute. Okay, now we have seen. Now we will see tasks of the kernel, which is actually the main thing. Tasks of the kernel. See. So first thing, what are the tasks of the kernel? User management. Whenever user logs in, giving username and password, who is going to authenticate that this is a valid user? Any idea? Is it shell or kernel? Rohit, who is going to do user authentication? Any idea?
Shell.
Shell, no. Shell is a command interpreter. Though user is authenticated, comes to shell, shell will interpret and give to kernel. Kernel is going to one who is actually going to give that access. If the kernel only allows, then only that fellow is going to log in. User management. Okay. Am I wrong?
No, right.
Okay. Second thing, memory management. What the different programs executed need some memory to be allocated in order to be executed. Who is going to allocate that thing? Kernel, right? Rohit and Anirudh. Rohit.
Yes, kernel.
Kernel. Okay. So first thing, whenever you are creating a process, what is a process? Anirudh and Rohit, I'm asking. You have insert a system is executing some processes. This thing. What is that you can define using? What is the meaning of a process? Can you define me? What is a process?
Process means allocating resources.
No. It is a working or a live instance of a executing program in the CPU. What is the thing? Small example. When you are having your operating system, 5 minutes, I'll finish up this. After the kernel, I'll stop this. Tomorrow, I'll show you shell property. So whenever you are creating something as a user, small example, a user is wanted to play some video on his system. So he clicks on the VLC player or media player to play his movie or the audio or video. Whenever you do things, first thing the shell submits to the process will be created by kernel. Means this specific application or a program to be executed, a process is created with a process ID, memory is allocated. This process, there are only one CPU, there are multiple processes to be submitted to the CPU because CPU is the one who is going to execute our thing. But there is only one CPU, but processes are many. And every process requires some memory to be allocated. This will be done by kernel. After that, how much time did each process or priority to each process, which should be allocated to the CPU because only one CPU, 1000 processes are working. Which should be allocated, who should be prioritized. This all will be taken. First, the process will be created, a process ID will be created, and the resources to execute this process will be created by kernel, and then the process will be submitted to CPU depending on the output. That's how output will be. Who is going to this time sharing between these processes? Only one CPU is there, you are there many processes. Who is going to time allocation? This process, this many seconds. Fraction of second, not seconds also. Fraction of second, every process. You think that your process is only going executing in the background, but there are multiple processes executing at the same time. This time sharing, CPU sharing, how to share the CPU for 100 process, single CPU. Who is going to take care of this? This all will be done by kernel. Time, memory management, user management, time sharing between processor, how the processor CPU to be allocated to these processors, process management, how to create a process. Process is not a live instance of a utility in the hard disk, is a process. Executing on the CPU is called a process. How to control the execution of the process, how to schedule the process, how to actually give security. These things are done by the kernel. Rohit and Anirudh, am I clear?
Yes.
So these are the things, process management, how to create. First the process, you are submitting some command, but command directly doesn't go into the CPU and execute. First the CPU takes over, first allocate some memory. After allocation of memory, it creates some resources. These memory is also resource, which where the process is loaded. After this process will be booted, first thing process ID will be created and resources are created. And only one CPU is there, there are multiple processes to be done. then how the CPU to be allocated according to priority to each and of this process, and how to schedule this process fairly for execution on CPU. After that, this process is getting executed, you get the result. Okay, and apart from this, how the process interact, how the process management, security management, this all will be security management. IP table, though is the application is inbuilt into kernel. What is the kernel module which actually IP table supporting or dynamic firewall supporting? NetFilter. Where this is? It is a module. NetFilter is a utility or a module in kernel. Okay, SE Linux Mac, which is called mandatory access console. Where it is built into? It is built into the kernel. Okay, this is called security management. Okay, now you got to understand tasks of the. Now you got to understand different tasks of the kernel. Now we will see the next component, shell. What that shell does. See here, I made a details of this. Yeah, if any doubt you can ask me. You can interrupt me anytime. Rohit and Anirudh, am I clear? If any problem, any understanding issue, anything you want to raise, you can raise. So now I am going with the next thing, kernel. What kernel is done, now I am pasting. What is the shell? Shell is a interface between user and the kernel. Shell is a command line executor and interpreter. So how can we get these nodes? Who is asking? Anirudh. Anirudh, nodes only first 1-2 classes will be shared. Remaining all you have to see the video and make yourself. All the in the video everything will be shown like this. Every data will be typed on this OpenOffice. OpenOffice. There I am actually typing and explaining each and everything. You have to make your note. First 1-2 classes maybe we'll be providing. Remaining all notes you have to make. And remaining all will be commands only. You don't need to make notes also. You just have to know the command and option and it works. Not notes, not much important. Everything will be command, and every command help you can get it from here like this man ls. You get everything there. All the options, how to execute, what to execute, what output will get if you execute that. Anirudh, am I clear? Anirudh is asking how can we get the notes and all. First 1-2 classes will be provided. Remaining all notes you have to prepare. Know if it is possible, then I will give you, no problem. See now shell. It converts. What is the thing base? Shell is actually a interface between user and the kernel. Kernel only understand low level language. Shell understand high level language. So commands executed in the high level language are converted by shell to the kernel understandable format and vice versa. Okay. What are the tasks of the shell? See here. What are the tasks of a shell? Shells are program execution. So if you are giving any command, directly it doesn't go to the kernel. Shell is going to take over. Shell will check if the command or the which utility executed available on the hard disk. It loads that thing into the hard memory. Then it submits it to the kernel. Kernel will take over. Variable and file name substitution, IO redirection, pipeline hookup, environment control, interpreted programming language. What is the meaning of these 5 things? You will get to understand if you know shell scripting. Small example I'm showing. What is the meaning of this program execution I'm showing, and variable and file name substitution I'll show. And what is this IO redirection I'm showing. 5 minutes, 5 more minutes, Anirudh, and 5 more minutes, Rohit. See here, what is this program execution I'm going to show you. I'm opening my terminal. Terminal is where we submit our commands to the shell or kernel. I am giving a command called find command. See here. Okay. First command, I wanted to check what are the data in the current directory, which is with the ls command. Ls means listing. This is the command. Okay. You can see it is listed Control Shift plus. This is actually the data. This is the thing. Okay. This is called command execution. Any command is submitted to shell. What is the current shell? You can get it like this. Echo, what is the current shell? We'll get with this. Bash is the current shell, which stands for born again shell. Default shell in Linux is called bash shell. Default shell of Unix is called sh, which is called bash. Sh is the default shell. Sh is the default shell of Unix. Bash is the default shell of Linux. What is the difference? We'll come to know in the later classes. Okay, what is this? Second question I wanted to show you. What is this variable and file name substitution? Take small example. What is this variable and file name substitution? I want to show you. So I wanted to display what is this PWD. I am with the current location. So I will save this to S1 is my variable. I wanted to save this PWD command. I am saving the output of the PWD command to sh. I am saving out $PWD command to S1. You can see this is called variable and file name substitution. So now S1 echo S1 will contain $/2. Now I am giving file name substitution. CD $S1. We will show what is the current file directory or ls. ls is the command. $S1 is this one. What is meaning of $S1? Is this one. No, here. This one. Variable and file name substitution is the purpose of this $. If you want to substitute the data of the S1 here, you have to give this. ls, this thing, you get the output here. Previously I gave ls, it gave the same output, here also $S1. This is called command execution and file name and variable name substitution. Second command, next thing. See ls command $S1, it is substituting, you get the answer. Sir, I don't want to see this on the terminal. I want to save the output to redirect this output to a file. I'm just showing $S1 and I'm redirecting to a file called S2 in the current directory. You won't get output here. See, a data will be not shown on the terminal. Instead, it will be redirected to S2 file. Cat S2, if you see, you will get the data. Is this the same files which you saw here? This here. These files are here, see. Same output which have been saved. This is called file IO redirection. I think I gave you good understanding of the things. Rohit, how was the class? Any feedback? Anirudh, you can unmute and speak. We will end the class session here. Rohit, Anirudh.
Yes. Good.
Rohit, it was good. Any feedback you want to give? You want me to make any changes? What else specifically you want my teaching to change and anything?
No, right now these two things I understood.
Okay, now you got to understand shell. What are the properties, tasks of shell also? I showed you simple examples of variable execution, variable and file name substitution, program execution, IO redirection, how it is happening. Just small examples. Later you will know in detail. For time being, okay. Rohit.
Yes.
Okay. Are you going to join tomorrow?
Yes, joining tomorrow.
Okay, no problem. Then we will take any doubts you can ask me. Okay. We will end the session because more than 2 hours now. 9:20. I can't take beyond this because we started at 7:20. 2 hours I have taken. Tomorrow will be the next class. Okay. See you. Good night.
Okay. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you.